Welcome back to the Neutral Zone. It has definitely been a while. What a Sunday night. I'm just going to start off with that. And happy Monday to you two. It's been a long time. James Quinn, Mike Payne, first off, let's talk about last night, just brief. What did you guys think of the Super Bowl victory? We just made history right here. I'll be honest, the first half, first half of the game, pretty much we just didn't have it in us, and I don't know. They just didn't seem like the Patriots we watch all the time. What did you guys think about the Patriots game?
Tom Brady is the greatest human ever to walk this earth. It's that simple.
I think it was definitely a tale of two halves. Came out the first half, and it seemed like the Falcons surprised the Patriots a little bit. It seemed like they had no answer for them on the offensive side of the ball anyways, which is shocking, which is something we've never seen. Classic Patriots, going to halftime, make adjustments, come out, execute. I just can't believe they came back by that big of a deficit. Really impressive.
Yeah, we definitely witnessed history. First OT ever in Super Bowl. Tom Brady is the GOAT, greatest of all time. See you later, Joe Montana. Tom Brady's the GOAT. There's nothing else to say about that. But that was a great victory, New England Patriots. I can't wait for next season. I love football. But let's get into the Boston Bruins because this is a Bruins show.
Real quick,
yes.
Who's the greatest Boston athlete of all time, Bobby Orr or Tom Brady? That's a tough question, isn't
Not
it?
on the Bruins show, please.
Definitely not on the Bruins show.
That's a barroom debate.
Let's talk about that after the show, 50-cent wing night. So anyways, so Saturday night, February 4th, Boston Bruins played the Toronto Maple Leafs at the TD Garden. 6-5 loss. They were coming back in the game, but they just couldn't finish the job. What do you guys take out of that game? So upset at the end of the game. They just could not do the job.
I think you've seen the resiliency that you've seen them play with a lot of the season. They've come back from deficits before. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the job done. I think it showed the weakness on the D in that games, but and then the forwards, you see what they're capable of playing like, but they're just inconsistent. They'll go out and they score 5 goals on Saturday. The next game, we don't know what it's going to be, what it's going to be like when they play San Jose on Thursday.
Yeah, I liked how the Bruins step up after Tuukka Rask got pulled in that game and after a McQuaid fight. I think that really turned the game around in their favor, and they kind of tilted the ice.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I thought they had this comeback. David Pastrnak, Brad Marchand, 2 top scorers on the Boston Bruins right now, and I think Patrice Bergeron had a goal there too. But they just couldn't get the job done. And I don't know what to think about Claude Julien right now. He says he's not giving up. He's been saying for months he's not giving up on this team, and I just don't know what to think about this team. I just think we should definitely start off fresh. What do you guys think? See, any opinion?
Well, if you fire him now, you're basically giving up on the season. I think they're grooming Bruce Cassidy to jump into that role. So I think if you do it now, you can see what he can do for the team, how they play. I don't think they're going to be particularly successful, but you can see the systems they're running, see how the players will adapt to them. At the same time, if you run them out to the end of the season, maybe you do claw in the playoffs, but it does not look so good, especially with all the days off they have in February. Toronto, Ottawa, they're all going to catch up in games in hand in the upcoming weeks. So they'll have a good picture right around the trade deadline as what they need to do moving forward.
Yeah, I don't think firing Claude's the answer. I think if you fire Claude, you're going to lose the locker room. Not that they're playing to their height, but Brad Marchand came out earlier this month, I think, and he said that firing Claude Julien isn't the answer. He's the best coach in the NHL. He's one of the best coaches. I think with the Bruins right now, one of the problems is I'm a firm believer that the Bruins play as good as Patrice Bergeron takes them. And I've noticed kind of not really a downcline, but like offensive production on Patrice Bergeron's part. But you've seen bright spots in Pastrnak and Marchand's having an outstanding year. So I think that's what keeps him afloat. But I want to say something. I want to say Bergeron has a lingering injury or something. Something's not right there, and I think that's putting a little setback on the team right now.
Kind of what Mike just said too about Pastrnak. Statistically, overall, he's having a great season. He had 19 goals in his first 26 games.
Right.
Since that point, he scored 2 the other night. He scored an overtime goal a couple games before that, so he had 3 in about his last 20. He went on a 17 game goalless streak. So you'd like to see a little bit more consistency out of him, and he's going to be somebody they're going to have to pay in the offseason.
Right. Well, I said he was a bright spot. He does have good numbers, but like Quinn said, he did go 17 games without a goal. But that just speaks volumes towards the beginning of a season, how good he was. But still, needs a more consistent game.
Yeah, I don't. Brad Marchand with, I think it's 23 goals this season so far. David Pastrnak just right behind him. David Pastrnak was definitely above him in the beginning of the season. I do see great talent in Brad Marchand, and I definitely don't agree that Claude Julien should not be fired right in the middle of the season. I do have mixed thoughts of what's coming in the future. Payne, you did say he's the best coach in the NHL, but maybe this is a team that's not going to work for him anymore, and maybe these players are not with his system, with his plays, or how he manages to coach as a head coach for the Boston Bruins. Because back in the 2011 season, when they made the playoffs with Milan Lucic, especially when Peter Chiarelli was GM, he could coach those guys like Milan Lucic, Dougie Hamilton, Tyler Seguin. He was coachable with those guys. You can disagree with me, but what do you?
I'm just gonna say that take away the last 3 seasons, his system is a proven system. I mean, you've seen how successful they can be. So when it comes down to players, yeah, maybe it's the players, but I personally like the system, and I think the system works.
I think the problem is they got 3 number 6 defensemen, and they're forcing them to play minutes they should, more than they should. Brandon Carlo, I think, is also taking a step back. He was really strong at the beginning of the season. He's starting to make more rookie mistakes now. So I think he's destined to eventually get a 9th level look and set a game.
Yeah, and you also got some couple of prospects in the Providence Bruins right now. So maybe down the road, if Claude Julien's with us next season, he could do something with them. But we never know. By the way, what do you think of the 5 prospects in the junior championship?
So we're talking about McAvoy, Lazan, Zaboral,
Forsbacher Carlson.
Yep.
Well, one big bright spot to me is Charlie McAvoy. I'm thrilled with that draft pick. I think that is going to be one of the best draft picks they've made in a long time. You see his offensive abilities. He scored a goal in the gold medal game. I think 2 assists, a goal and 2 assists perhaps. I'm not real sure on that, but yeah, you could see his offensive capabilities. Makes a good first pass, something that could really help the Bruins this year. And going off on Carlo getting a look from the 9th level, I think that's good and all. Like you said, with these prospects coming up, though, I think it's good that we let Carlo work it out this year and give him a full season. I don't want to send him down, give him a step back, and then bring him back up next year.
Yep.
Just give him a full look at the NHL, in my opinion.
As far as Charlie McAvoy, he obviously excelled in World Juniors. I'm not totally sold yet. He obviously has that offensive prowess that you'd like to see. But World Juniors is a little bit overhyped as how good the talent actually is. There's a lot of guys, that's the biggest games they'll ever play in. So, I like to see him do it at the pro level moving forward, but I think that they're going to have to take their chances with him, and I think he will be on the big club next year. As far as Carlo goes, I don't think you send him down. I think you just, maybe he just needs to see the game from a different perspective, and that's why you send him upstairs. You don't send him to Providence. He's a guy you're already into his entry-level deal. You might as well keep him up.
I agree with that. And going off what you said, I also agree about the juniors, how you have a bunch of kids skating around as fast as they can. Some of them get taken out of position. That's why you see a lot of odd man rushes and stuff like that. Whereas in the NHL, you're going to see a more positional game. You're going to see players in more position. You're not going to get a chance to go coast to coast.
Yeah.
Peter Mueller was one of the best players of the World Juniors 10 years ago. He was a first-round draft pick. He plays for the Providence Bruins now. He's been in Europe the last few years. So it's not a guarantee that success will translate from World Juniors into the NHL.
So down the road, you say these guys are fast, they got talent, they got speed. Do you send them up and rotate them, or I know you said Brandon Carlo, keep him there, let him finish, let him feel the rest of the NHL season, but these rest of the guys maybe next season rotate them, or maybe do they need to work in another year?
Well, ideally, Charlie McAvoy's a everyday player. He might his minutes might be limited to start out with, but when you draft somebody that high in the first round, you're expecting him to be a top 4 defenseman sooner rather than later. Yeah.
I totally agree. And where the team is now, I see McAvoy making the jump right off the bat. I think Jeremy Lauzon will be on the Lauzon or Zabora will be on the cusp of making the team. I could see them getting some NHL time and some AHL time, splitting time there. But I think it's good. I think eventually you're going to have this movement where these young kids are going to have to come play. And I'd like to see them come now and get it out of their system and just build around them. Because right now you see you're not having a good season. And there's no bright future besides a couple players. So if you're going to lose, why not get the most out of your young talent while you can?
What I've read on McAvoy, though, is he's not going to come out early as regards into the season. He wants to win a national championship with BU. That ends about the second week of April. He will get what they call a PTO, and he'll probably go play for Providence if they make the playoffs. He'll play in then, or maybe just the last handful of regular season games for them.
All right. So looking good with the young, talented players. Obviously, USA came out with a victory in the juniors. Now, going back to the Boston Bruins, so Tuukka Rask was doing very, very well in the beginning of the season, peaking, kind of going down that hill a little bit. Let's talk about Tuukka Rask for a little bit. What do you guys think these last few weeks, months, the last time we met actually? What do you think of Tuukka Rask right now? And can he help us come into a playoff spot?
I mean, he was the goalie on a Stanley Cup finalist team. At the beginning of the season, he was lights out. Maybe it's a fatigue factor setting in now. He's struggling. He's also had quite a few injuries, popped his groin again the other night. He said it wouldn't be a long-term injury, but it just seems very consistent that, he's sick this day, he's hurt now. He just seems to crumple in big moments when his team needs him.
Yeah, I agree. They wear him down, though. So I guess at the beginning of the season, those numbers that he was putting up were phenomenal. And now you're seeing how the defense in front of him is just not playing well at all, and it's really taking a toll on him. So I think that's why you've seen a decline in Tuukka's game. But it just speaks volumes of how good he was in the beginning of the season, because the D has dipped a little, but has never been great this season. So I think that's why he's kind of declining right now, because you're seeing the D.
And then they really don't have an opportunity to rest him. Zay McIntyre hasn't been stellar. Antoine Khudobin hasn't played well. It's actually funny. Chad Johnson, former Bruins backup goaltender, he's actually kind of a two-headed monster out there in Calgary as far as the starting goaltender.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, he doesn't have much to work with backup goalies right now. He's pretty much the key, the biggest part of this team right now, and I hope he ranks back up. He's a talented player. He's been in playoff position, and right now the Boston Bruins are ranked 15, 26. Actually, it's probably 27 loss, 23 3 losses, 26 wins with the season right now after Saturday night's game. Do you guys? I think they're. I'm not positive. I'm not gonna say I'm right on this, but I think they're a little bit short on the playoff spot right now. They just seem to bounce up and down with that playoff spot. Do you think these guys have the ability to do their job and make a spot in the playoffs, or do you think this is another season where we're just gonna have to take off the skates and get prepared for next season and do some changes and stuff?
Yeah, I think that the changes are imminent. I don't see this team making the playoffs right now. If they do find a way to claw in, it's going to take some miraculous play out of the talent they do have. And I will say, if they do make it, I think Brad Marchand's got to be considered as MVP of the NHL. I mean, he's almost a point-a-game player, and it seems like they can't get 2 lines to produce, but his line does produce. He had 6 points last week, so he seems like he's coming to play. He's just got to get out of his own way sometimes and, not slew foot people.
I think they set the magic number at 96 points roughly at the beginning of the season to say this is the points that you shoot for to say that you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Bruins will get there this year. And I think this is the time of the season where you start making evaluations as to what you want to do with the trade deadline coming up. Are you going to be buyers, or are you going to be sellers, or are you going to stay where you are? I really hope they don't do anything like they did last year, where they went out and gave 2nd and 3rd round draft picks for John Michael Lyles and Lee Stempniak. I think that'd just be foolish right now. When you're fighting for an 8th place seed, and when you look at the standings right now, Toronto is above them in the standings, or
Toronto's still behind them by a point, but
with
Toronto
5
have
games in hand.
Yeah.
So
just need an overtime loss, and they'd be tied with them in the next 5 games.
yeah, so I mean, looking at that, it doesn't give you a real comfortable feeling going out and trying to trade for players to try and force an 8th seed in the playoffs. I know that's what upper management wants, but it doesn't seem smart right now.
You also can't handicap yourself as far as taking in somebody who's if they do decide to bring in another player who has some longevity on their contract beyond this year, because they do need to pay David Pastrnak at the end of the season. His entry-level deal was up, and he's going to command a good market value.
Yeah, he's going to command more money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hopefully for their cap sake, it'll be more of a Panarin kind of 2-year bridge deal before he gets to that big contract. But I think even there, you're probably looking at $4 to $5 million a year over the next 2.
All right. Payne, last week you brought this. There was a at Bruins stat on Twitter. You brought this up. Quote, Bruins are calling about Shattenkirk per LeBron if the cost is Spooner, Miller, and a new $6-40 million contract. Should the Bruins do it? What do you guys?
I don't see how you do not do that deal. I think it's a great move for the Bruins. I think he'd be a good fit in Boston. I think he'd be a good role model for the younger defensemen that you want to bring up, like the McAvoys and the Lazans and the Zaboros. 28 years old?
Yeah.
28 years old.
Prime years.
Prime years, yeah. So, yeah, if he can restructure at 6 years, $40 million. Ryan Spooner, I know they've tried to move him. They're very interested in moving Ryan Spooner, and if you have to give up Colin Miller, I think that's an okay move that you should make for a better future.
I think I mean, Spooner and Miller are both talented players, but I think in this situation, it doesn't hurt to make some changes, especially with a player like Shattenkirk.
I would pull the trigger on that. My only concern is my priority would be re-signing David Pastrnak in the offseason. They've let too many good goal scorers go through,
That's
so
true.
They need to figure out their cap situation before they actually pull that, making sure they have enough money to bring back, a potential leading scorer in the NHL.
When you do bring that up, I do have some concerns.
I love that move, but there has to be another move after that.
Yeah.
This move for Backus, it hasn't really worked out, especially for $5 million a year. I would see if any contending teams or any teams that need a grinder or a locker room guy are willing to make a deal for him, because that would open up the cap space that you need, and you could get Shattenkirk in here, and you could sign Pasternak.
I just think with Backus' contract, that would be way too hard to move, and especially to get anything decent in return back.
Yeah, I could see it going the wrong way if they made that move. But, just some media brought up. There is a couple of trade deadline rumors. Players like Ben Bishop, Marc-Andre Fleury, and as you know, Shattenkirk. I mean, there were a couple more, but these were the players that kind of stuck out to me. I guess Ben Bishop is in his final year of a 2-year, $9 million contract. Do you think Tampa Bay will trade him, or?
So the rumor I actually heard, we were just talking about Kevin Shattenkirk, would be Kevin Shattenkirk for Ben Bishop straight up. St. Louis has had a tough go, especially at the goaltending position this year. I think they have the talent, but they just fired Ken Hitchcock in his what would have been his final season as the St. Louis Blues coach. So if I'm Tampa, I'd do that. You need defensive help. You have him and Hedman back there. I think you'd have a strong pair, and Vasilevsky has proven that he's going to be a starting goalie in the NHL. So for both teams, I think that's a win-win.
He'd be a great fit for a contending team. Adding depth goaltending is always a great move. Goaltending wins championships.
Is it true? It's true.
As far as Marc-Andre Fleury from Pittsburgh, I don't pull the trigger on that just because you have Matt Murray obviously is your starter, but Marc-Andre Fleury can be a serviceable backup. He's won a cup. He's played in another final. So I'd hold on to him through that. I understand at the end of the season you're probably not going to get anything back for him, but just having depth at that position and with the talented roster they do have, they're going to be in contention for a repeat championship.
Yeah, I agree with that. You can never have too much depth at goaltending. You look at the Bruins right now, and they're suffering because they don't have depth at goaltending. Marc-Andre Fleury was also a former first overall pick, so I don't know what that value is anymore, and I don't know what Pittsburgh would be asking in return, but he's got a Stanley Cup on his resume. He's a first overall pick. I think he's got a Olympic gold medal maybe with Canada.
He wasn't the starter.
Yeah,
he might have been
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty good resume. Not a good playoff record at all, so that's going to bring him down. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. Getting back to the Boston Bruins. So last Wednesday, Bruins played Capitals. Capitals are the number one team in the league, I believe, right now. Bruins just didn't have it. What did you guys think about that game? I was watching some of it, but I didn't get to finish the game. What did you guys think about that overall?
It's just a tale of two different teams. One team's playing very well and is going to be in the hunt this year, and the other teams, grinding their teeth, trying to claw into the playoffs. I think Washington, you definitely have to consider. You have to look at where they are in the standings, too. They're still ahead of Columbus, and Columbus had that 14-game win streak earlier this year, and Washington's still right there with them.
Yeah, I think it was a tough game for the Bruins. Obviously, they can't match up talent-wise. I thought there was some bright spots. They got down 2-0 early, came back to tie the game. I thought Brad Marchand had a phenomenal game. I think he finished with 2 goals. I think he had the 2 goals that brought him back into that game. Obviously, tough to finish off a more talented team or hang in there with them, but there was some bright spots, even though it was a tough loss.
I agree. Like I said, I didn't watch a lot of the game. I only watched a little, so I can't say nothing much. I did want to bring it up. So the Bruins are not playing until Thursday night against San Jose. San Jose is a talent team. They got Brett Burns. They got Joe Thornton. They got
Pavelski,
yep. And this is just, and the West Coast is a has talented teams. What do you guys think the Boston Bruins have to do in order to maintain a victory and stay on top with the San Jose Sharks?
They need to neutralize Brent Burns as a defenseman. He's a point-a-game player. They need to make sure that the wings in the defensive zone, that he's not creeping in. They need to be attacking him in the neutral zone so he's not creating on the rush when he does decide to bring the puck up himself. And then just fire pucks on net. There's no such thing as a bad shot against a goalie like Martin Jones. He's a good goalie, and you just got to keep testing him.
Yeah, they got to play a heavy game. San Jose has a big team, so I think you get pucks deep and you try to get in there with your speed, try to make things happen, establish possession in the neutral zone, go from there. Totally agree.
So you got to watch the speed, not so much from Pavelski, but a guy like Couture and Marlowe coming down the wing. It'll be a test for the Bruins decor, make sure they're keeping them to the outside and that they're not getting to the middle of the ice.
Oh man, Marlowe still got those wheels, huh?
All right.
He scored 500 career goals.
Let's take a look at that February schedule real quick. So February 9th, San Jose. February 11th, Vancouver. Then Montreal, San Jose again, Anaheim, Los Angeles, Dallas, Arizona. So pretty tough schedule coming towards the trade deadline and halfway through the season. And let's quickly talk about tonight is the first night of the Beanpot tournament. So Boston College, Boston University, Northeastern, and Harvard. So yeah, that's starting tonight. I'm sure Harvard and Huskies already played. We got BU and BC coming up at 8 o'clock. So guys, we'll definitely go watch it after this.
3 top 10 teams in the nation in this tournament.
And so your predictions, Payne, go.
I'm a BU guy, so of course they're going to take it. Really interested in seeing McAvoy and Forsback Carlson play tonight. 2 Bruins prospects. Like to see how they do. Like Quinn said, 3 top 10 teams in the nation, so this is a great tournament.
The Fitzgerald brothers and Matthew Gaudreau, the rest of the Boston College Eagles, they take it.
So I'm normally a BU fan, but I'm going to switch it up this season. Come on now. BC Eagles.
BU's a higher ranked team.
I know, Dan.
BC Eagles.
It's a weird time to change up.
So last year I saw them as a talented team. I think they could do it again. They always have a talented team. And so congratulations to the 5th Super Bowl champions in our generation. Congratulations, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, GOAT. That's another episode of the Neutral Zone. Have a wicked awesome week, wicked awesome weekend. Congratulations, New England Patriots. Go Bruins.
Tom Brady's God.
Woo!
Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Yeah, my hat's blue and red, but my jersey's all black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. I'm from a town where it's sports over everything. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. It's Red Sox all summer, but the winter it's black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.